A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear student, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear student, today it's our fourth lecture on X-ray diffraction, mean XRD. Course code is Inorganic Material Chemistry and course code is CAM 3115. Today we will discuss X-ray optics, filters, monochromators, mirrors, and then we will discuss X-ray detectors, including point detectors, linear detectors, area detectors, and then we will discuss detector calibration. Now we will discuss what are X-ray optics. Various optical elements can be placed in the beam path to tailor the characteristic of the X-ray beam. These can work by diffraction, for example a monochromator crystal, reflection like a mirror, or absorption like a filter or slits. A monochromator is used to select a particular wavelength. A mirror can focus the beam or suppress higher harmonics, and filter can be used to remove unwanted radiation. Now we will discuss in detail different X-ray optics. First, filters. For powder diffraction experiments, using a laboratory source, diffraction of the copper K beta radiation contaminates the powder pattern from copper K alpha. Its intensity can be greatly attenuated by placing a nickel filter, a uniform thin sheet of nickel, in the beam path. The energy of the copper K beta X-rays alpha is equal to 1.392 angstrom is slightly above the threshold energy of the nickel K absorption H, which is lambda is equal to 1.488 angstrom, which thus absorbs this wavelength strongly, whereas K alpha X-rays having lambda 1.542 angstrom have insufficient energy to excite this particular transition and are only modestly absorbed. The optimum thickness has to be a compromise between reducing the intensity of the unwanted copper K beta and reducing the intensity of the desired copper K alpha. Most laboratory setups employing a nickel filter for copper radiation choose 15 to 20 millimeter thick foils so as to attenuate K beta by a factor of 25 to 50 times more than K alpha, and the overall K alpha intensity by a factor of about 2. At synchrotron sources, attenuators such as graphite, aluminium, or synthetic diamond foils can be inserted into the primary beam path to reduce the heat load on an optical element, to prevent saturation of the X-ray detector, or to reduce the rate of radiation damage to the sample. And after filter we will discuss what are monochromators. A monochromator is a large flat single crystal set to a particular orientation theta m in the beam that reflect the diffraction only those wavelengths that satisfy the Bragg condition, which is lambda is equal to 2d sine theta m, where d is the spacing between the chosen lattice planes. The optical crystals used include silicon, germanium, quartz, diamond, and graphite. For any material used as an X-ray monochromator, the following properties are desirable, which include: forms large good quality crystal with an appropriate interplanar distance, mechanically strong and reasonably easily to cut, stable in the beam, large structure factor for the chosen Bragg reflection, small coefficient of thermal expansion, low absorption for X-rays. The actual choice of material also depends on the application and may take into account the thermal conductivity, degree of crystalline perfection, intrinsic breadth of the Bragg reflection, which is Darwin width, etc. In the laboratory, a monochromator may be placed in the incident or the diffracted beam. Pre-sample monochromators such as quartz or silicon 111 are highly discriminating and can separate copper K alpha 1 radiation from K beta 2 radiation, though at the expense of overall intensity. Curving the crystal, which therefore must be thin, to focus the beam on the sample or detector, helps counteract this loss of intensity. Post-sample monochromators, because of the motion of the detector arm, are mechanically less stable, so a less discriminating crystal such as graphite are used. This can only remove K beta but has the additional advantage of reducing any fluorescence from the sample. Monochromators for synchrotron based diffractometers are used to select the chosen wavelength from the polychromatic source. To preserve the direction of the incident beam, a double crystal double bounce arrangement is used, as shown in the following figure. This may be either a channel cut crystal or two independently aligned crystal. A common choice of crystal is silicon, Because of its very high degree of crystalline perfection and its excellent thermal properties in the intense synchrotron beam, the 111 reflection is a frequent choice, though 220 and 311 are also used when higher energy resolution is desired. Cooling is essential to maintain a stable temperature for the crystal under the heat load from the source. This is a diagram. White beam fall on this crystal and angle is theta m. Diffracted from another crystal, here is lambda wavelength, and diffracted from this crystal, here is the wavelength also lambda. This is a schematic of a double bounce monochromator as used at synchrotrons. The first crystal select a wavelength from the polychromatic source which is reflected along the initial direction by the second crystal. The lattice planes of the latter must be perfectly aligned with the first crystal for efficient transmission of the beam. Now, after monochromator, we will discuss mirrors. Curved mirrors can be used to collimate or focus a divergent X-ray beam. Still rather rare on laboratory instruments, graded multilayer mirrors may be used to produce a near parallel incident beam, which may be advantageous when working with non-flat or irregular samples or with samples under non-ambient conditions. At synchrotrons, mirror can be used to enhance further the collimation of the already highly collimated beam. This can improve the angular and energy resolution of the instrument. Alternatively, the beam can be focused onto the sample if desired. A highly polished silicon substrate with a thin metal coating such as platinum or rhodium set at grazing incidence also provides a means to suppress the high energy X-rays in the beam. Thus, a rhodium coated mirror set at an angle of 0.09 degree to the incident beam will not transmit photons with a wavelength less than about 0.3 angstrom. Mirror can sometimes have several strips of different metal coatings to allow adjustment of the upper energy cutoff. Now we will discuss different detectors used in X-ray photodiffractometers. X-ray detector may be classified as point, linear or area depending on whether they record the diffraction pattern in 0, 1 or 2 spatial dimensions. Point detectors must be scanned to measure the diffraction pattern, whereas linear or area detector can be fixed. Point detectors are easily compatible with post-sample optical elements. Linear and area detectors allow the data to be acquired much faster. But as more open system, they are prone to detecting parasitic scattered from the air or sample environment. Both linear and area detectors are type of position sensitive detector, abbreviated as PSD. Now, what are point detectors? Under the heading of X-ray detectors, the most common type of detector in the laboratory is a scintillation counter, which exploits a two-stage process. X-ray photons collide with a phosphor screen or scintillator, such as a thallium-doped sodium iodide crystal. This emit photons in the blue region of the visible spectrum, which are subsequently converted to voltage pulses by means of photomultiplier tube attached directly behind the scintillator. The number of electrons ejected by the photocathode is proportional to the number of visible photons that strike it, which in turn is proportional to the energy of the original X-ray photon. Owing to numerous losses, the energy resolution of the detector is poor, and as much it cannot be used to resolve K alpha and K beta X-ray photons. However, it has high quantum efficiency and a low dead time, making it the ideal detector for the point intensity measurements required for step scanning diffractometers. For synchrotron applications, faster scintillators are often needed, and materials such as doped YAP, yttrium, aluminum perovskite, or LaCl3 are used as scintillators. How their light output per incident photon is less. Solid state detectors based on silicon or germanium are used where better energy discrimination is required, and avalanche photodiodes can work at very high count rate but have poor efficiency at high X-ray energies because silicon does not absorb such photons strongly. Now, what are linear detectors? Linear detectors may be straight or curved and record the 2 theta position of arrival of each X-ray photon. Linear PSD may be broadly classified into single anode or multi-anode devices. Single anode devices have a wire or a blade in a gas-filled chamber and work on the principle that X-ray photon can ionize inert gas atoms such as argon or xenon into an electron and ion pair. The ionization energy required to eject an outer electron is low, which is 10 to 20 electron volt, compared to the energy of the X-ray photon, which is 8 kilo electron volt for a copper X-ray tube, so that one X-ray photon can produce several hundred ion pairs. The anode, which is a relatively poor conductor, is set to a potential of about 1000 volt. The electron of the ion pair accelerate toward the anode, causing further ionization and an enhanced signal by gas amplification. The burst of electron on the wire is converted into a charge pulse which travels to both ends of the anode. By comparing the relative arrival time of the pulse at both ends of the wire or blade, the position of the detected X-ray photon is obtained. Such delay line detector can measure only a single X-ray photon at a time and so are relatively slow and lose their linearity at modest count rate. To minimize the dead time of the system, a quenching gas such as methane is mixed with the inert gas with ratio 90% argon and 10% methane for higher count rate. Multi-wire or microstrip anodes have been developed in which each individual anode element is an independent detector with the 2 theta position fixed relative to the other elements. Such a detector can process many events concurrently. PSD record data over a whole range of scattering angles, which can be useful where speed of acquisition is crucial. For example, in time resolved power diffraction or thermodiffractometry, PSD come in various shapes and size. Small PSD can only collect data over a limited range, 5 to 10 degree to theta. Large PSD are usually curved and collect over a much wider range. Both types tend to have a similar number of channels of detection, 2 to n, where n is equal to 9 to 12, so that the 2 theta channel width for the larger PSD is relatively coarse. PSD can be used at a fixed scattering angle or may be scanned to collect data over a wider angular range. Now, area detectors. Historically, area detector in the form of photographic X-ray film were the principal method for recording power diffraction pattern, for example using Debye-Scherrer and Guinier cameras. Modern area detectors for X-ray exploit image plate and charge coupled device CCD technology. These detectors accumulate an image of the diffraction pattern, which then has to be read out and stored as a subsequent step. Typical readout times vary from 30 seconds or more for image plates to 1 second or less for CCD. Image plates are large area detector and record the diffracted X-rays directly, whereas CCD chips are small and are coupled to a phosphor screen with a bundle of optical fibers. Area detectors record part or even hold Debye-Scherrer powder diffraction rings, enabling effects such as texture, granularity, and preferred orientation to be observed directly, in contrast to linear and point detectors. In addition, the large solid angle greatly increases the counting efficiency, enabling data to be more easily recorded from weakly scattering samples. Data correction to obtain quantitative intensities from 2D detectors require special handling. And now is detector calibration, which is more important step. In contrast to detector used for point intensity measurement, position sensitive detectors require careful calibration for both 2 theta position and efficiency so that scattering angles and intensity can be accurately determined. For each channel, an exact 2 theta position is required together with an efficiency coefficient. The efficiency can be determined using a sample such as an amorphous foil that fluoresces in the X-ray beam. For example, iron in a beam of copper K alpha radiation, producing a very high flat background and no Bragg peaks. The 2 theta calibration is achieved by scanning the different parts of the detector through the Bragg reflection of a strong peak, for example, the silicon 1,1 peak. For very large curved detectors, the 2 theta calibration has to be made using many diffraction peaks. The calibration can be checked by measuring the complete pattern of a reference material. Sealed gas filled PSD should be recalibrated whenever the gas is replenished, in contrast to detector with a continuous flow of gas that need checking regularly. This is the end of our today lectures. Now student, if you have any question in your mind relating to this lecture and our previous lectures of Porter X-ray diffraction, you can send me your question 24/7 at my email ID maslamchemist@hotmail.com. Thank you so much. Allah bless all of you.